Namo Dharma-aya. Namo Sangha-aya. Namo Guru-ve. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Dharma-aya. Namo Sangha-aya. Namo Guru-ve. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Dharma-aya. Namo Sangha-aya. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddhas, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing generosity and the other far-reaching attitudes, may I attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddhas, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing generosity and the other far-reaching attitudes, may I attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddhas, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing generosity and the other far-reaching attitudes, may I attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. With it being the very first day of going through this text together, what we'll do at this moment in time is read and recite, if you will, together the first verse, and this is on page 15. So we'll recite the first verse, and then instead of actually going through all of Geshe's own personal commentary, we will highlight important points and essentials associated to the verse itself, or the root verse itself. And what we're going to do is, if you look at, if you turn to page 5 of the book, it starts with the introduction there. So there are elements, fundamental elements that are provided and taught in the introduction that we'll be implementing into our overview of the root, first root verse. And so with that, let's go ahead and recite verse number 1 together. The foundation of all good qualities is the kind Guru. Cultivating the Guru properly is the root of the path. Realizing this clearly with great diligence, bless me to rely on the Guru with highest devotion. Okay, so when we look at verse 1. In the first line of verse 1, we'll focus on that to start with. And in line 1 of the first verse, what Geshe and I would like to focus on is the term or the word guru. Okay, so here when we talk about the guru, it's important to understand that there are characteristics and qualities involved in someone that we would call or consider or take as a guru. And these characteristics are explained very explicitly in the Ornament of Sutra by Buddha Maitreya. If you turn to page 10 in the introduction, not only the reference to the Ornament of Sutra, but the actual 10 qualities of the teacher are mentioned. I'll give everyone a moment to turn to page 10. When it comes to the qualities or the characteristics or the definitions of what makes a guru, many different texts and many different sources provide different ways of looking at those characteristics and qualities. In the Vinaya texts, there are also explanations and definitions of characteristics that make up a guru. And the Prajnaparamita texts, particularly dealing with emptiness, there are specific and certain explanations of the characteristics of the guru. And even in the tantric texts or texts and teachings on Tantrayana, there are specific characteristics that are mentioned as well. Here though, in the lam-rim text, this set of 10 characteristics is referred to in the context of the common Mahayana vehicle. So please keep that in mind. What I just mentioned to you, what Geshe Tsultim asked us to remember, is also emphasized on page 8, just a page or two before the actual 10 qualities of the teacher. So again, we're covering this for the sake and obviously as the main body of the session today. But when you go home, please take it upon yourself to go through the introduction and go through the other parts of the text as we move forward in the study and discussion of this commentary. Yes. Ala ni re ma to stress ra stress di changla di ma to stress ma ta de khaja de shine ya ma to stress ra chela samara digna khandu. Okay, so if we go back to page 10, we'll go ahead and, or I'll go ahead and read each of the 10 qualities of the teacher. and then Geshe Jampa will be explaining the meaning and the specifics of each one. So, as mentioned here on page 10, the 10 qualities of a teacher. A teacher should be someone who is 1. Calm. 2. Pacified. 3. Totally pacified. 4. Exceeding in qualification. 5. Diligent. 6. Has knowledge of scriptures. 7. Has realized emptiness. 8. Is a skilled speaker. 9. Has great love for the students. And 10. Is not easily discouraged. Or. So, we won't be going through each of the explanations, even though they are provided here through Geshe's teachings here in the text. We won't be going through each word by word, but instead offering you maybe a more concise version of that just by word of mouth or orally here. So the emphasis on the first characteristic of calm is that of the mastery of the 3 trainings, the training mastery of the training in discipline or moral ethics. So when we talk about the higher training, or of the 3 trainings, the training of morality or moral ethics, we start in terms of practice and progress in that practice. We start by thinking about the practice of the abandoning of the 10 non-virtuous actions. And then if we go a step further, we actually think about the vows of discipline in terms of the pratimoksha vows. Within the pratimoksha vows, there are the upasaka vows, and then the term for gezu, I guess a gross term or a kind of a slang term you can use are novice vows for ordained novice vows, and then you have the bhikshu vows or the fully ordained vows. When it comes to vows themselves, we talk about the pratimoksha vows, bodhisattva vows, and then the tantric vows. And so when we're first talking about, again, this eventual progress of the training in moral discipline and ethics, when it comes to the training and abandoning the 10 non-virtuous actions, and then the pratimoksha vows, the emphasis is on the external focus and maintaining one's conduct of the body, of the speech and the body. And then once we get into the tantric vows, then it becomes a discipline or a taking upon vows that apply to the actual internal mind. So again, emphasis on another way of emphasizing the term calm as the first characteristic is understanding that the training or practice of the training of morality includes keeping a calm and tame external physical conduct, as well as maintaining a calm and tame internal practice or internal maintaining of morality and discipline. The second quality, pacified, is a reference to and emphasizes the practice in the higher training of concentration or meditative concentration. And for this as well, it is maintaining a calm, steady, and tame, stable state of meditative concentration. The third quality out of the 10 is totally pacified. And what this is referring to, or what it's emphasizing, is the realized training or high training of wisdom. So when we talk about the three higher trainings, or the three trainings, if you will, the first was in association or was related to the training in morality. The second was the training in meditative concentration, and the third is training in wisdom. So number 4, exceeding in qualification. Exceeding qualification means or refers to having qualities or characteristics that surpass those of the students or the disciples that one is teaching. The fifth quality is diligent or diligence, and this particular quality is explained as a teacher, or the quality of the teacher that embodies diligent enthusiasm, or both diligence and enthusiasm in the practice and the guidance and the teaching towards the student. Number 6 of the 10 qualities has knowledge of scriptures, and what this is referring to is not only having the capacity and the ability to read from the text, but to really know the text, and by knowing, really having a grasp of the meaning and also the sources of where they came from. Having a vast and expansive knowledge and being able to reference and trace back the words and the teachings to their respective original teachers. So the term in the actual root text, the words in the actual root text of the ornament of sutra, Lungi Chupa in Tibetan is mentioned, and Lungi Chupa means to have to be able to refer or to be able to source what it is that one is teaching. Otherwise, it's one thing to kind of be a messenger of the general meaning, but without being able to trace that back to where that teaching, where that verse or where that line particularly came from, it makes it a little bit loose, if you will, maybe unsteady. And so the guru who has knowledge of the scriptures, or this particular quality, is one that has a very strong command and grasp of not only the meaning of the text and is able to read from the text, but one that can refer and trace the teachings back to their sources. When we look at number 7, has realized emptiness. For this particular quality, even though we're looking at the phrase or the term has realized emptiness, it's not meant to emphasize that literally. The teacher doesn't necessarily have to have had actually realized emptiness, but what the reference is and what the emphasis is that the teacher has, in his capacity, an understanding, wherever that capacity may be, an understanding of emptiness and whatever it is that he's teaching, particularly here, wisdom and emptiness. It's more about his own having an idea and having a strong concept and a strong command of the meaning of emptiness, even if he hasn't necessarily fully realized it, either directly or indirectly. And so that is what the reference is when here at number 7 we read, has realized emptiness. And so number 8 of the 10 qualities is a skilled speaker, and so the teacher should be one that has or one that is skilled in the art of presenting the teachings verbally, one that is able to express the meaning clearly, and one that is able to connect to the listener in an eloquent and calm and easy to understand way. Along with eloquent speech and a skilled technique in presenting the teachings themselves and everything that the teacher presents should be backed by or should be sourced in the scriptures or be backed by reasoning, and if possible by both. And so many of you have seen this before and have experienced had this experience with different teachers. You may see that one explains the meaning, backs it up by reasoning and logic, and then that reasoning and logic is furthermore emphasized and reinforced by quoting certain texts and certain masters. So this also falls in line with the skilled speaking quality of a qualified teacher. Number 9 out of the 10 qualities has great love for the students. And when we talk about the teacher or the qualified teacher having great love for the students. What we mean, or what the emphasis is that his only concern is to help alleviate and relieve the listener or the students or the disciples of their suffering. He is void of any self-interest, and it is completely selfless in the sense that the love and concern is fully focused on the student and the disciple, and the relief of their suffering. Has great love for the students. If we look at the term that we're using in English here, love, or the word love, from a Buddhist point of view, there's distinctions to be made between love and attachment. Sometimes, maybe when we use this term more loosely in our English language, it tends to maybe encompass both. But if we're looking at this from the Buddhist point of view, there are fine distinctions between love and attachment. When we mention love or say love, the emphasis or the focus of love is completely on others. Whereas when we say attachment, the focus is on oneself, or the grasping is in oneself. So it's important to remember and be able to distinguish between the two, not only while going through the text, but in our practice and in our daily lives. Another extension of understanding of the term love from a Buddhist point of view, and particularly when describing this as a quality of the Guru, is, as mentioned earlier, love, referring to being void of any self-interest. And so when the Guru engages in guidance and teaching the student, he should be free of any kind of agenda or motive that involves anything for himself, or any gain or benefit, personal gain or benefit for himself. That includes fame, wealth, or any of the above. And yes. So again, when we say self-interest, particularly in the context of being a qualified guru, you're void of any self-interest in the context of seeking fame, seeking wealth, or seeking reverence or respect from who it is that you're teaching. And any action of yours, particularly the action of guidance and teaching, is completely void and unattached from or detached from any thought in regards to the eight worldly concerns. So, for example, if the Lama were to engage in teaching or guiding the student with the intention or motivation of gaining personal wealth, it would no longer be a dharmic interaction or a virtuous exchange or a virtuous action. And it would be actually very worldly, almost as if he was trying to sell something. And so that's an example there for one to understand what it is that a guru should avoid and what it is that the guru should cultivate in terms of not having any self-interest, including wealth and fame, when it comes to teaching and guiding the student. And so, yes, and so if it is through these worldly motivations that the master or the guru proceeds in teaching and guidance, not only is it motivated by self-grasping and self-interest, but it also is it also does not benefit the student or the listener in terms of helping them achieve an understanding or a realization of the meaning of the teaching. It is for this reason that, or one of the many reasons as to why the student is reminded and encouraged to really examine the qualifications of one's guru before actually considering them one's guru or taking them as one's guru. The last of the 10 qualities, number 10 is not easily discouraged. And what we're referring to here, or what is being referred to here, is being discouraged or losing what you will, the motivation or the energy to continue to teach or to guide the student due to their disposition or their level of intelligence. A teacher may end up having many different types of students or disciples that have many different types of capacities. And when one encounters, as a guru, when one encounters a particular student with a lower capacity of intelligence and are much slower in their practice, what is being mentioned here is that one doesn't discriminate and one doesn't lose faith and grow frustrated and tired with the student, but is patient and offers the same love and guidance that he would to all his students. Okay, so we'll stop here in terms of going through the text and going through the explanation of the text. We'll now yield the mic to you, if you will, if there are any questions you have in what we've covered so far. Oh, yes. So I think usually on Sundays what we do is we cover the online questions first. So we'll do that here as well. Let me get on. Okay, so Bob Friedman asks, how are we supposed to know if the teacher has these qualities? For example, he has a realization of emptiness, or if he has a realization of emptiness. His Holiness the Dalai Lama would never say he realizes emptiness. 아니 뭐 여러 뭐기 좋다 샤. 아니 계주주디 상기부터 생이 상기부터 먼저 간스 하고 그랬어. 간스 다 그랬어. 베르 샤샤나 아스라로. 되는 나네 아니. 벌써 돈이 더 맞아 계주셔. 아니 달라마게 돈이 또 유스 뒤나면 숨만 왔어. 겨울은 저 샤샤나 자원이 숨이 많이 왔어. 아니 돈이 또 유버디 맞아. 그래서 하고 그랬어. 고가 차이. 알레 또에 샤샤 그러면 맡아서 고가 지가서 차이입니다. 고가 차이는 가서 간스 다 그랬어. Ming love you is mar. Ming has love shows. I apologize. I think I made a mistake, and I don't think I was actually, or it's not necessary to say or mention the name of who was asking the question. I apologize for that if there was any discomfort there. I didn't mean that. I'll remember that for next time. But yes, going back to Bob's question of how are we supposed to know if the teacher has these qualities, for example, if he has a realization of emptiness. The way that we can gauge and try our best to tell is through is by judging his teachings on emptiness and his practice in emptiness, how we feel and what it is that we're able to gain from his experience when he teaches or when he mentions or when he explains emptiness. There are also certain external signs that we could look for. We talk about some of the, I guess, means that we could use to tell if someone is telling the truth or has some kind of experience when it comes to speaking about emptiness, is that when they do, or if they do, there's a great possibility that they'll shed tears, get goosebumps, exhibit certain demeanors or things in their body language that would help us see the impact that even just a mention of emptiness is having on them. So that these signs, if you will, are things that we can refer to in the process of examining whether this individual is actually or actually has this qualification. Another way that we can try to gauge his practice or whether or not he has his quality or the guru has his quality. And I don't mean to just emphasize he or she has his quality, is obviously as beginners we are working with limited capacity ourselves. And so when we're unable to tell, we refer to those who are close to us and those that we can trust. And if those individuals seem to be recommending and seem to be respecting and wholeheartedly following this particular guru, we could use that, almost that inferential process of thinking, okay, well, I know this person is close to me, I trust them wholeheartedly, and if they are following this guru and in their experience he fulfills or has this characteristic or quality, then I think it's safe to say that he's someone that's worth following and that may actually have this quality. So we can use certain reasoning and certain signs and certain other references and sources in our own personal life as a means of gauging and examining whether the guru fulfills or has certain qualities. And even when it comes to the one that was brought up here in terms of having an understanding of emptiness. So if we take the time, and again, it's not only encouraged, but very strongly emphasized that one should take the time and the proper effort to examine, to fully examine whether or not a certain individual is qualified and has particular characteristics when it comes to that of a guru. One of the things, or another way, if we were to use an analogy, if you will here, another way that you could tell is, let's say, when it comes to doctors or medical professionals or personnel, we would judge their qualification by their training, their education, their degree, and then using that as a basis, a certain trust is formed when we go to see them. And through interaction with them and through seeing how they prescribe medicine, how they treat us and our illnesses, we're able to actually verify whether or not they are a qualified doctor. So likewise, when it comes to the guru, we can kind of we can refer to that way of examining as well, where we look a bit into his background, in terms of how does he understand the scriptures, how long has he been how learned is he in the scriptures, what experience does he have in the scriptures, does when he teaches or when he presents something, does it make sense? Does it connect with me? Does it come from a place of experience, or is it just conceptual? So on and so forth. We can use these techniques within our own capacity to slowly do our best to gain a stronger understanding of whether or not this individual is qualified. We'll move on to the next question, and it says, could you say something about samadhi, please? And then, just so you know, Geshe Tsultim isn't working with a mic. He doesn't have a mic on today, intentionally, because we had a few sound issues when we did this on Monday. So it was working better when only one of us was on a mic, and so for the sake of today, we're continuing with one mic. We'll do our best to get both mics on in the following sessions, but for now, we're only working with one mic. And so going back to the original question, though, could you say something about samadhi, please? DJ, tanda, thing is in lava. Kana tena, tagitsini nibati kana dustrava. Tani thing is in college so ross. Thing is in the kind of lagi meta. Chigalva. The church jarosman. So the term samadhi, or the English translation, which is concentration or meditative concentration, is understood as single-pointed concentration or meditation, or the ability or the capacity to fully focus on a single object for a prolonged period of time or a certain duration of time. This can be further understood in the concept of calm abiding. And calm abiding is a form of meditation where you focus on a single object, again, for a prolonged period of time or a certain duration of time. And there are, maybe Vladimir, you might be able to help me here. The 9 stages that lead of concentration that lead up to calm abiding itself.
What are they?
Like, no, like the term for the, is that what we say, the 9 stages? We call it stages, right? Semne tingzi gusrwa. Semne dabki tingzi gusrwa. Semne dab. So, yes. Stages tani tizar. So stages, yes. So it'll be understood in stages, and it starts with, you can start with, just very short moments, and then it's basically the ability to extend those moments from, for example, let's just say 1 minute to 10 minutes, so on and so forth. And so there's 9 of these stages that one practices in terms of meditation or concentrative meditation that would actually lead up to what we call calm abiding. And in the state of calm abiding, when one is able to completely focus on a single object without the restraint or the restrictions or limits of a particular moment of time, one then experiences, or a sign of achieving actual calm abiding is what we call, do we call it? Is equipoise? Equipoise, is that a synonym for? Okay, so I assume, up until this point, unless I'm completely mistaken, I believe, and I've seen that in translations for equipoise, a state of, what we could grossly call a state of bliss in the mind and body, or a certain state of bliss in the mind and body. And this is a sign of having actually achieved calm abiding. And so when we say samadhi, or meditative concentration, it can be understood in the context of calm abiding and single-pointed meditative concentration.
I have a question pertaining to that. So what does it mean by single-pointed? Does it mean that one perceives only a single object and nothing else?
A focus on one object.
Nothing else?
Nothing else. Yes. One word that Geshe Tsultim kept emphasizing that I forgot to mention is myo. Yo means to waver or to shake, and myo is the negative of that, which is unshakable, unwavering concentration on a single object. For example, Geshe Tsultim mentioned, let's say there's a statue of Shakyamuni in front of you, so complete focus on that one object. In this case, the statue of Shakyamuni Buddha, without wavering or thinking about anything else outside of that object in that moment of concentration or meditation.
I don't think equipoise is physical.
I'm sorry?
I don't think equipoise is physical.
Oh, so not the actual state of, not the actual concentration or meditation itself. I meant it as a result or a sign where I've heard meditative equipoise, where it's basically I think equipoise is a term though. So it's a state of bliss, like I mentioned before. Just for a better understanding, and this is not a formal teaching. We're kind of as a discussion group, if you will, a reading discussion club or group. I'm going to look this up. I feel it's important. Xinjiang, is that what Xinjiang? Xinjiang. 洋剧有了吧？香港是差不多把它香港是讲，是吧？是吧？对。So it comes up here as exuberance, lucidity, alertness, vitality is one of them. And then happiness, bliss. So this kind of state of bliss is something you would experience. This state of bliss is something that we would experience and would be a sign of having accomplished the state of what we call calm abiding.
Was one only able to accomplish that in meditation? Because it sounds like you wouldn't be able to do anything if you were absorbed in that state.
Yes. And it would be pursued and mastered through the form of meditation. Yes.
And so once it's mastered,
yes.
How is one able to
Oh yes. Yes, and so how we usually do it on Sundays, and obviously all of you know, we have this traveling mic that goes around. We apologize for not having passed it during the previous 1 or 2 moments there. But I believe you're on. I think that one is on the bottom. Okay.
I should ask the question again.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so once one has accomplished this meditative equipoise, you know, would one be able to do any actions outside of it, or while maintaining this concentration?
Yes. And actions, you mean like physical or both mental and physical, right?
Yeah, because then
Right.
it implies that like
Right.
one would not be aware of anything else besides one single object.
Tani, tachi, shichila, tsechila, niyandi samarwada. Ani, hakodo da shine, tobe, nisami shinjang tobe kala sherwa. Ani chik tikapaya shinda, chik chaha tsamyanda nike yorvesda. Ta yamanan nangi kanji shinda, chik kasur, samdu shinda, chik koraya togo. Oh, ta tikapa, dos kanda chikanda dos pagazama ta chik masana. 고집중이 매우 개매베들 시간에 대대로에 야 띵안에 야 직 차와체 참에 이거다 직체 이거더니 어디 유연하스 So yes, even though the practice itself is focused on complete immersion, if you will, or focus on that object, it is with that concentration that other aspects, particularly analytical meditation, or in this case we could say, two of the Sanskrit terms that come up are shamatha. Shamatha is calm abiding, vipassana, for insight, right? Is that the term that we use for Hagdong? Special insight, special insight. So it is within this state of calm abiding where you're able to focus that, where all your concentration is on, you're able to basically bring forward and manifest, if you will, the strength of concentration, so that you're able to focus on just one object alone, basically taking that concentration or that ability to concentrate to its peak. It is in that elevated peak of concentration that you bring forward the aspects of analytical meditation and analysis to further engage in the practice of wisdom and understanding. So it's more about the capacity, the mental capacity, or the capacity of that concentration, rather than the object of focus. Just let's say you were focusing the object of your meditative concentration was that of the statue of Shakyamuni. Once you achieve calm abiding with focus on that object, that particular object, or in this case the statue of Shakyamuni, it doesn't mean that you're not able to shift that same concentration from the statue of Shakyamuni onto something like emptiness. It's more about that state, or that peak of concentration, if you will, rather than the object of concentration. And you're so bent or so focused on one thing that you cannot do anything else. Does that make any sense? It's about cultivating or bringing that concentrated power to a point where it can remain unwavering or unshakable, and then it's in that state of non-distraction, if you will. That's kind of my footnote there. That you harness, you maintain that power, and then complement it with analytical meditation, and it's through this process that you're able to actually further your practice and come to greater realizations of the concepts. Yes. Yes. I believe my voice might have been a little bit like, what's the word? Yeah, it's okay. I hope everyone can hear. I'm trying my best to clear my throat just in case I start breaking off. But yes, Renee.
Joseph mean, could he get up and make a cup of tea whilst he was doing that?
아니,
Whilst he was in that state.
신장이 되고 토백가버드 신이 코란 나네. 로 코란 톰사서는 비 신이 공기라 아니 야 랑지 차든지 서가도 근데 용구를 뵀어. 치라가 잠야셔와. 근데 용규는 섭배나. 톱차네. 신이 공기라 로다. 신이 공기라 야. 아니 미부지를 째주디야. 야 네네 로다. 아니 두스파나도 스트로그 다 저거 샤마더니 용구를 slaava 그래서 다시 당도 쉬고 하다 그러죠 아니 어디 아니 디나 아니 밖에 차속이 속이 두기 자 밖에 된 용구를 왜 저기 좀 신이 안에 나 당연히 야 쉬어요. So again, the main emphasis here when we say calm abiding or a heightened meditative concentration is again the key words of unwavering or unshaken, where you're not distracted and you're not moving from one object to another. You're on that object. To answer your question directly, Renee, yes, it is possible to, while in this state, engage in other activities, even physically. That said, having achieved calm abiding, it doesn't mean that you have to be in that state while also engaging in other things. You can, what you will arise, I guess is a term that can be used, dawa, to arise and kind of set aside and arise from that state, having already achieved it, and then after making your tea or cutting the grass or trimming the flowers, you can return to that state after having taken part in any other activity. But it can also be done while you are in that state. Yes. So when we say achieving calm abiding, once achieved, you don't have to remain in that state forever. Again, you can arise from it and then go back into it. And so it's a state of concentration that is achieved and that you can always go back to once you've accomplished that level of concentration.
You've mastered it, so it stays with you.
It stays with you, right. Okay, so thank you for your participation, for your questions. And we'll stop there for today. Our general time duration for the session is 7:30 to 9. Obviously, being day one, we were fidgeting with a couple things, and it took a few more moments to get started, and then we ended a couple minutes later as well. But thank you for your patience, and we hope to see you next week. We will now, having understood not only and diligently listened to not only the texts and the explanations today, we will now dedicate the merit that we've accumulated and the good karma that we've accumulated and the good imprints that we've accumulated in the form of reciting the dedication at the end of the text. It is on page 69, and we'll all recite this together. So dedication of merit at the end of the text. Let us dedicate our positive energy to the flourishing of Buddha Dharma throughout the world. Let us dedicate our positive energy to the long life of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. May his sacred mandalas of body, speech, and mind be unharmed by negative intentions and actions. May he and other great masters be successful in fulfilling their dreams and visions for benefiting all sentient beings. Let us dedicate our positive energy to all spiritual communities throughout the world so that they may flourish in their study, contemplation, and meditation. Let us dedicate our positive energy to the elimination of the problems in our world, such as famine, war, and conflict. May everyone in this and other world systems experience peace, harmony, happiness, and harmony. Let us dedicate our positive energy to ourselves and to other Dharma practitioners so that we may overcome all obstacles to spiritual development. Let us dedicate our positive energy to ourselves and to all sentient beings so that we can purify the obstacles to liberation and omniscience and quickly reach full enlightenment.